So welcome you back, Jain everyone. In the contemporary South Asia, already we discussed about Nepal. Sorry, already we have discussed about Pakistan, right? So the restoration of democracy in Pakistan, then the military regime in Pakistan, democracy of Pakistan, the partition of Pakistan, everything we have discussed in details, and Indo-Pak relationship also we discussed in a little bit in a brief form, right? Also, I discuss about Indo-Bangladesh relationship and the formation of Bangladesh, and how in Bangladesh also you can say the change of the government. Sometimes it was a military ruled government and sometimes it was a democratic government. And now since a long period of time they have established their own democracy over there, right? So इंडिया का जो भी नेबरिंग कंट्री है, दो इंडिया राइट फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगिनिंग 1947 से लेके चलें तो इंडिया इज ए डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री, बट बाकी जो दो बड़े कंट्री हैं, चाहे वो आप पाकिस्तान ले लें या बांग्लादेश ले लें, ऑलवेज दे हैविंग लॉट्स ऑफ ऑफेबल्स, अप्स एंड डाउन्स. Sometimes they have military rule and sometimes they have the democratic setup. Presently in 2020 in both Bangladesh and Pakistan they are having the democratic setup, right? And why? Already I discussed in my previous video. The basic reason was there are some inheritance defects in the constitution. Constitution ही ऐसे बना है जिसमें कि आर्मी को एम्पावर करता है, एंड जब भी कोई अगर वीकर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी या पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम गवर्नमेंट बनाता है तो ये टेक ओवर कर लेते हैं, आर्मी टेक ओवर कर लेता है. दैट्स वाई वेरी फ्रीक्वेंटली इफ यू कुड हैव सीन इन पाकिस्तान, very frequent you can say, sometimes it's a democratic government, sometimes it's a military ruled government, again it's go back to the democratic setup, then military. So it's a very frequent you could find out in Pakistan. And similarly for a quite a long period of time it was even in Bangladesh, but for last 2 decades at least, around last 2 decades, right from the Sheikh Hasina till this particular period of time, they have pure democratic setup. And already I told why. बिकॉज बांग्लादेश का भले कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में लिटिल बिट इनहेरिटेंस डिफेक्ट है, लेकिन मोर और लेस यू कैन से दे आर अ वेरी बेसिक प्रिंसिपल ऑफ डेमोक्रेटिक सेटअप. उनका जो गवर्नमेंट का सेटअप है, तो गवर्नमेंट का जो फॉर्मेशन है या तो कंट्री का जो फॉर्मेशन है, तो बेसिक फॉर्मेशन ही कुछ एक डेमोक्रेटिक सेटअप से ही है. इसलिए कहीं ना कहीं दे आर हैविंग अ वेरी गुड सेटअप ऑफ द डेमोक्रेटिक सिस्टम. सो द थर्ड एंड द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट यू कैन से द नेबरिंग कंट्री विच आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट, दैट इज नेपाल. Right from the very beginning, if you can go for the Nepal is exactly that is in the foothill of mountain Himalayas, and said to be earlier it was the only Hindu country in the world. Though largest number of Hindu they live in India, but Nepal said to be the only Hindu country earlier, but not now. Presently it's a secular country. So you need to study about Nepal, you can say. It's a very small country, very close-knit country. You can say being surrounded from one side entirely the Great Himalayas, and the other side, other boundary, you can say find out it's in India, and some part it's even China also. And they are culturally, if you can see Nepal, they are all more or less you can say assimilated to India. They're Indian culture, and Nepal and India border is the only that we share. You can say we don't need any visa or passport to go to Nepal, or the Nepalese they wanted to come to India. तो रिलेशनशिप हमारा नॉट ओनली इन दिस रेस्पेक्ट बहुत अच्छा है, इवन कल्चरल एंड रिलीजियसली भी रिलेशनशिप बहुत अच्छा है, राइट? बिकॉज दैट्स अ हिंदू कंट्री एंड मोर और लेस लार्ज नंबर्स ऑफ द पिलग्रिम्स दे गो टू नेपाल, एंड लार्ज नंबर्स ऑफ द नेपाली दे डिपेंडेंट ऑन इंडिया इन टर्म्स ऑफ देयर जॉब, एंड पूरे इकोनॉमी कभी नेपाल 100% हमारे ऊपर ही डिपेंडेंट हुआ करता था. सो नेपाली अगर इफ यू कैन गो फॉर द डेमोक्रेटिक सेटअप इन नेपाल, from long period of time Nepal they have a monarchical form of government. They have monarch, king के राजा महाराजा का शासन चलता था. Gradually it was in about 1980s or 1990, in the beginning of 1990s, that the then king Raja Birendra, the then king Raja Birendra, or the king Birendra you can say, he has accepted the demands of the political parties or the movement groups in Nepal, and he declared Nepal as a constitutional monarchy. मतलब हमारा क्या है, एक constitutional republic है. The head of the country is the president. He is also indirectly elected by India, elected by the people, and at the same time we are having the prime minister. He is the real head, directly elected by the people. But in Nepal it's a little bit different. You can say they had at that time you can say the similar system like United Kingdom. England में जो system था उसी system में constitutional monarchy means monarch or the king will be the head of the country, and that is in terms of the hereditary system, and the prime ministers will be elected. So also Nepal is otherwise known as a third wave country. Why it's known as third wave country? Third wave country means any country those who got independence after 1990 is otherwise known as third wave country. It's not a third world country, it's just third wave country. मैंने कोई भी country 1990 के बाद अगर democracy मिला है और democratic setup, constitutional setup में आए तो that's known as third wave country, right? So although king formally remained the head of the state, the real power was exercised by the popular representative, otherwise you can say their own legislative assembly or the parliament. So King Birendra was accepted the transaction from the absolute monarchy. Absolute monarchy means पूरा 100% monarchical system of government था, to the constitutional monarchy. But unfortunately in 2001, the entire royal family, King Birendra, his wife and his two sons, was being mysteriously massacred or being killed, assassinated in 2001, and that's the end of King Birendra. So as there was no heir to King Birendra, so King Gyanendra was the uncle or chacha, you can say otherwise known as, of King Birendra. So he took the charge of Nepal. He was a little bit authoritarian, you can say. He was not as liberal, or you can say as liberal like King Birendra. So he was always trying to get an opportunity कि कब अपॉर्चुनिटी मिले एंड फिर से कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोनार्की से एब्सोल्यूट मोनार्की की तरफ जाए. एंड ड्यूरिंग द टाइम यू कैन से इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोनार्की ऑल्सो वहाँ का पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम में इतना लूज पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम था, बिकॉज मोर और लेस दे आर ऑलवेज हैविंग यू कैन से अलायंसेस द कोलिशन गवर्नमेंट. तो गवर्नमेंट का लाइफ बहुत कम हुआ करता था, एंड उसका इनहेरिटेंस डिफेक्ट्स और उसका अपॉर्चुनिटी लेते हुए किंग ग्यारेंद्र ही डिक्लेयर हिमसेल्फ एज द मोनार्च एंड एब्सोल्यूट मोनार्की में फिर से चला जाता है. इन Feb 2005 king dismissed the prime minister and dissolved the popularly elected parliament, so that in 2006 April against the king or against the system of government there was a popular uprising, popular movement, right? All the major political party, they are having around seven political party, right? So that's known as SPA, 7 party alliances. ऑल 7 पार्टी, 7 जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टी थे एक अंडर वन अम्ब्रेला आ जाते हैं, और एक पॉपुलर मूवमेंट विच इज ए स्पॉन्टेनियस मूवमेंट टेकन से दे वेज्ड अगेंस्ट किंग ज्ञानेंद्र. दिस इज कॉल्ड अ 4 डे स्ट्राइक इन काठमांडू. इनिशियली किंग ज्ञानेंद्र को भी लगा कि बड़ा छोटा मोटा मूवमेंट होगा, बट ग्रेजुअली जहाँ ये 21 अप्रैल में स्टार्ट होता है, 24 अप्रैल दैट वाज द लास्ट डे, एंड अल्टीमेटम ये लोग दे रखे थे जितना भी एक्टिविस्ट थे. Few lakhs of people, you can say, few lakhs of people gather in Kathmandu, and they force King Gyanendra to accept constitutional monarchy. And surprisingly, even the Maoisti, or which is presently they are also having a communist government, you can say. The present in 2020, the Nepalese Prime Minister, he belongs to the Communist Party of Nepal. So the Maoists also, they become the part and parcel of this movement. Though they don't believe in democracy, they don't believe in, you can say, the other political party, whatever they are having their own principle. Their principle are entirely different. Maoists, they are having their principle entirely different. In spite of that, they become the part and parcel of this particular movement, because they also wanted that let democracy be restored in Nepal. The security forces found themselves unable to control lakhs of people. The number of Protestants reached between 3 to 5 lakhs on 21st of April. And they serve an ultimatum to the king. The leader of this movement rejected half-hearted concessions. पहले तो किंग ने नेगोशिएशन करने की कोशिश की, but all the leaders, you can say, they asked their king Gyanendra, कोई half-hearted agreement नहीं होगा. Whatever, पूरा full, whatever they wanted, let it be given to them. And SP 7 party alliances, they went till 24th. On 24th of April 2006. The last day of the ultimatum, the king was forced to consider all 3 demands, whatever the demand they put forward. What are the demands? Number 1, demand for the restoration of parliament, because 1990 में King Birendra already parliamentary system को ले आ चुके थे, right, with monarch. So they demanded for the restoration of the parliament, power to all party government, SPA जो 7 party alliances है, जो भी उनका alliance बन के उसको पावर दे दी जाए, interim government उनका बना दी जाए, right? And third one is a new constituent assembly to be done in near future or future course of the time. It means immediately पार्लियामेंट को रेस्टोर की जाए एंड एक इंटरिम गवर्नमेंट बनाया जाए. जो भी प्रोटेस्टेंट हैं 7 पार्टी अलायंसेस के सभी को मिल के एक सरकार इंटरिम गवर्नमेंट बना जाए. एंड गिरिजा प्रसाद कोइराला उस टाइम उसका लीडर हुआ करते थे एंड ही बिकम द प्राइम मिनिस्टर आफ्टर दैट, राइट. एंड द लास्ट वन इज एज सुन एज पॉसिबल न्यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली बनाया जाए, राइट. एंड ultimately King Gyanendra, he has to accept all those demands and democracy in Nepal being restored. This is what you can say, how the demand of the democracy in Nepal in 2005 it was being done and how it was being restored. I will discuss. In 2006, democratic movement of Nepal was name given to the rebellious action of Nepalese people. They were agitated against the monarch and wanted to overthrow the King Gyanendra and to establish the democracy already I told about. King Gyanendra tried to stop the rebellion of the SPA 7-party alliances and reversed by attempting to establish a parliament and an agreement with SPA 7-party alliances. Citizens would then be able to vote on candidates that would in turn write a new constitutions and they are going to make a new constituent assembly. And most importantly, you can say that's why under the prime ministership of Girija Prasad Koirala an interim government was being made. So what are the goal of this popular movement? Establishment of democracy, abolish monarchy and create a new constitutions for them. This is what exactly that each and everyone they wanted in Nepal, right? What are the goals? Establish a democracy, abolish monarchy and create a new constitutions. Nepal was a Hindu kingdom, already I told you, in the past, and then a constitutional monarchy during the time of Raja Virendra in the modern period for many years. After that it was being abolished and King Gyanendra became a dictator for some times. Then in 2006 they are having popular uprising and again Nepal they adopted constitutional monarchy and later on completely you can see the monarchical system being abolished and now Nepal is a constitutional republic, right? Throughout this period, political parties and the common people of Nepal have wanted a more open and responsive system of government. But the king, with the help of army, retained full control over the government and restricted the expansion of democracy in Nepal, right? And that was exactly the problem why even if after the restoration of democracy in Nepal, still the political party they become helpless and जो भी गवर्नमेंट बना है गवर्नमेंट बहुत शॉर्ट लाइफ के लिए बना बिकॉज कोई भी एक स्पेसिफिक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को अभी भी मेजोरिटी नहीं आ पा रहा था वहाँ. दैट वाज अ इनहेरिटेड प्रॉब्लम इन नेपाल बिकॉज छोटा सा कंट्री एंड सो मेनी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी टुगेदर, सो दैट वाज अ प्रॉब्लम. The king accepted the demand for a new democratic constitution in 1990. Already I told you, in the wake of the strong pro-democratic movement, that was the first movement. And 2006 में जो हुआ था, that's the second movement. However, democratic government had a short and troubled career. During the 90s, the Maoists of Nepal were successful in spreading their influence in many parts of Nepal. Maowadi, they are presently, we can say, they are having their own government like the Communist Party of Nepal. They believed in the armed insurrection against the monarch and ruling elite. This led to a violent conflict between the Maoist guerrillas and the armed forces of the king. For some time, there was a triangular conflict among the monarchist forces, the Democrats and the Maoists. For quite a long time, you can say, even after the establishment of constitutional monarchy also. So there are three different forces you can find. The Democrats, those who want absolute democracy over there. The monarchist forces means King Virendra का जो force था उनका, right, royal forces, Democrats and Maowadi. So there was a triangular conflict in Nepal and lots of bloodshed being taken place due to this. In 2002, the king abolished the parliament and dismissed the government and thus ending them limited democracy that existed in the Nepal for a long period of time. Most dramatic movement in the post Loktantra Andolan government came on May 18, 2006 when the parliament unanimously voted for strip the king of many of his powers and bill included. हुआ क्या? Right. If you can go in 2006 में ऐसा क्या होगा कि किंग ज्ञानेंद्र इमीडिएटली पार्लियामेंट को साइडलाइन करके फिर से पावर में आने की कोशिश कर रहे थे एंड दैट वाज अ मूवमेंट बाय पुटिंग 90,000 ट्रूप्स इन द हैंड्स ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट, इम्पोजिंग अ टैक्स ऑन द रॉयल फैमिली एंड इट्स एसेट्स, एंडिंग द राज परिषद, a royal advisory council, which Nepal used to have, eliminating royal references from army and government titles, declaring Nepal a secular country. Earlier it was a Hindu country, not a Hindu kingdom, scrapping the national anthem until a new one is to be composed, and eliminating king's position as a supreme commander of armed forces. It was already, as I talks about, 2001, 1st of June, Prince Dipendra went on a shooting spree, assassinated nine members of the royal family, including King Birendra, Queen Aishwarya. Before shooting himself, due to his survival, he temporarily became the king before dying of his wounds. After which Prince Gyanen, Kings Birendra, said to be the brothers, you can say, inherited the throne as per traditions. Meanwhile, the rebellion accelerated, and in October 2002, the king temporarily disposed the government and took complete control over it. A week later, he again reappointed another government, but the country was still very unstable. So that was the time that the country, they went on, lots of instability was there. And 1990, अभी थोड़ा सा पीछे चले जाएं तो 1990 Nepalese people movement reduced King Birendra from a absolute monarch to a constitutional monarch. This already I discussed about. Eliminating king's position as a supreme commander of the army, जो कि हुआ करते थे सुप्रीम कमांडर, उसको हटा दिया गया May 1991 में. Nepal had its first parliamentary elections in May 1991. In Feb 1996, the Maoist parties declared peoples who are against monarchs and elected government. 28th May 2008, a newly elected Constituent Assembly declared Nepal a Federal Democratic Republic, abolishing 240 years old monarchy. 2006 में हुआ था पॉपुलर अपराइजिंग, एंड 2008 में अल्टीमेटली न्यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूंट असेंबली बनाया गया, नया फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर आ गया, राइट, एंड एबोलिश्ड 240 इयर्स का जो ओल्ड मोनार्कियल सिस्टम था खत्म हो जाता है, एंड इट बिकम ए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल रिपब्लिक. नेपाल इज अ फेडरल डेमोक्रेटिक रिपब्लिक नाउ. So what the basic difference you can say? Constitutional republic, constitutional monarchy. In a constitutional monarchy, prime minister तो होंगे elected by the people, but there will not be president, or the head of the country will not be elected by the people. So at that time in the constitutional monarchy, prime minister तो थे, but on the other hand they are having their own king. But after that, when they went for the federal democratic republic, president and prime minister, it means both the head of the country directly or indirectly will be elected by the people. There is no, you can say, hereditary system. So the political system is based on the interim constitutions of Nepal 2063 Nepali calendar के हिसाब से, and 2007 Georgian calendar में, with the prime minister as a chief executive and a 601 member constituent assembly will be formed. जैसे आपका पार्लियामेंट है, they are having two houses, लोकसभा राज्यसभा. लोकसभा max 552 members होना है. So similarly they are having also executive body member, you can say, or a legislative assembly will be having 601 members, which is responsible for drafting of a new constitution of the government. Sometimes restricted freedom of assembly till the drafting of the constitution is being made. This already I talked about. In April 2006, Nepal experienced an extraordinary popular movement. The agenda of the movement was to restore democracy, restoration of the democracy, and they succeeded. Right? Nepal is a third wave country. Already I told you what is a third wave country. The country those who got independence or democracy, not exactly independence, democratic. The country those who make them democratic after 1990s, or the third wave country. Post that, the king used to formally the head of the state, but the real power was exercised by the elected representative. And the king Birendra accepted his transition from absolute monarchy to constitutional monarchy, and sadly, his family was completely being assassinated and massacred in 2001. This already I told you. On May 28, 2008, the newly elected Constituent Assembly declared Nepal a federal democratic country, abolishing 240 years old monarchical system. The motion for the abolition of the monarchy was carried by a huge majority. Out of 564 members present in the assembly, 560 members voted for the motion, while 4 members were against it. And पूरा completely जो monarchical system को हटा के एक constitutional republican system ले आए, and it became a federal democratic republic country. June 11, 2008, the deposed King Gyanendra left the palace, royal palace, and Rambaran Yadav, Nepali Congress, that's the political party, Rambaran Yadav became the first president of Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal on 23rd of July 2008. क्या हुआ था? 23rd July 2008 में for the first time the Nepalese president being elected, and Ram Varan Yadav was the first president. Similarly, the Constituent Assembly elected Pushpa Kamal Dahal, otherwise known as Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachand, of the Unified Communist Party of Nepal, Maoist, as the first Prime Minister of the Republic on 15th of August 2008. So 15th August 2008 में Pushpa Kamal Dahal from United Communist Party of Nepal, otherwise known as Maoist, the first ever Prime Minister of the Republic, the you can say the Federal Republic of Nepal. See, please remember this. In the Federal Republic of Nepal, Pushpa Kamal Dahal became the first Prime Minister, and Girija Prasad Koirala in 2006, when there was a transition from, you can say, constitutional monarchy to absolute monarchy to the constitutional monarchy. That's a little bit difference, as you can say. Favoring him over Sher Bahadur Deoba of the Nepali Congress. Right? So this is all about Nepal, how the monarchical system being established in Nepal, and how Nepal was a completely absolute monarchy, from absolute monarchy to constitutional monarchy, from the constitutional monarchy to you can say the federal democratic republic, how it's being made. This is all the story about Nepal, right? And at present, if you can see the situation of Nepal, we have completed about 20-25 minutes of the studies, right? So in the present situation, if you can see, Nepal is completely under the grip of China, because presently it was also being ruled by the Communist Party of Nepal, and directly or indirectly the Communist Party, they favor China. So this is all about Nepal. Very in short, you can say I'll be telling about Sri Lanka, a little bit of Sri Lanka, you can say. In next 10 minutes we are going to complete Sri Lanka, right? And after that, in the next class, we'll be discussing in details of Sri Lanka. If you can go, so this is all about, we have completed like Pakistan, we have completed about Pakistan, we have completed about Bangladesh, and also I have done with Nepal. The third and the most important neighboring country, that's Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka lies towards the southernmost part of India, or in the Indian Ocean, you can say. It's an island country. Sri Lanka is an island country, and since time immemorial, अगर Sri Lanka का बात करेंगे तो earlier it was known as Ceylon. From the time of Ramayana, we are having direct relationship. कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग श्रीलंका को जानते हैं. That was otherwise known as Lanka, right? रावण का territory हुआ करता था श्रीलंका. So we are having mythological relationship also in between these two. आप लोग रामायण में सुने होंगे कि रावण वहाँ पे रहता था, and Ram went there, crossed the Indian Ocean, went there, had a war, and सीता जी को लेके फिर इंडिया आए थे. So that's exactly, you can say, we are having the historical relationship in between India and Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka ka only I'm just going to give a brief, and in the next class we are going to discuss about Sri Lanka and the rest of the part of the chapter, and we will complete the chapter. Sri Lanka, it's an island country, and Sri Lanka mein the northern part and northeastern part of Sri Lanka. The northern Sri Lanka and northeastern part of Sri Lanka, the majority of the people, they are Tamils. There are two types of people live basically in Sri Lanka. One is Sinhalas and the second one is Tamil, right? Generally, Sri Lanka is a Buddhist country, but you can find out the different community over there. You can say Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, three different types of communities you can see in Nepal. In Sri Lanka. Right. Sri Lanka has a diverse population. The major social group are basically Sinhala speaking people or Tamil speaking people. It's being said that around 74% of the people, they are Sinhala speaking people. Two languages primarily being spoken in Sri Lanka. One is Sinhala, that is the primary language from Sri Lanka, and Tamil, India से, Tamil Nadu से जो है, right? So 74% of the people, they are the Sinhala speaking people, and 18% they are Tamil speaking. Among the Tamil, there are two subgroups. One is Tamil natives, otherwise known as Sri Lankan Tamil. जो Tamils हैं, जो 18% Tamil हैं, 74% is all about Sinhala. They are Buddhist. राइट. सो 74 प्लस 18 इट्स 82 92% हो गए. 8% में अदर्स आते हैं, इसमें 7% क्रिश्चियंस हैं. राइट. सो 7% आर क्रिश्चियन. इट मीन्स वेरी सिंपल है, कैन से 74% बुद्धिस्ट हैं. राइट. 18% में हिंदू और मुस्लिम दो कम्युनिटी होंगे. दिस ऑलरेडी हैव डन इन क्लास 10. राइट. सो अगर टोटल पॉपुलेशन हम श्रीलंका का ले लें तो 74% of the people, they are the Sinhala speaking people. Sinhala is the language, Sinhala speaking people, and they are primarily Buddhist. 18% they are Indian origin, right? And they are either Hindu or Muslim. 7% they are Christian and 1% others. This is exactly what are the composition of population of the Sri Lanka. So northern part of Sri Lanka and northeastern part of the Sri Lanka, basically they are Tamilians. And अगर जोग्राफिकल लोकेशंस हम देखेंगे तो दिस पर्टिकुलर पार्ट दे आर वेरी क्लोज टू तमिलनाडु, इंडिया का सटा हुआ एरिया है. राइट. सो जो 18% ऑफ तमिल हैं, देर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ तमिल. वन इज श्रीलंकन तमिल, दे कॉन्स्टिट्यूट 13%, एंड द अदर वन इज इंडियन तमिल्स, दे आर 5%. सो हु आर द श्रीलंकन तमिल्स? द तमिल नेटिव्स ऑफ दिस कंट्री मीन्स कब से हैं, उनका फोर फादर कितना जनरेशन से हैं, इवन यू दे ऑल्सो डोंट नो. सो दे आर नोन एज श्रीलंकन तमिल्स एंड दे कॉन्स्टिट्यूट 13%. जो 5% में इंडियन तमिल्स हैं, 13 + 5 18, 5% में जो इंडियन तमिल्स हैं, इंडियन तमिल्स ये ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ द ब्रिटिश एम्पायर के टाइम में पोर्टुगीज रूल हुआ करता था श्रीलंका में, उसी टाइम में वहाँ पे ले शिफ्ट किए होंगे. मीन्स लास्ट 200 300 400 साल के अंदर जो गए हैं, दे आर नोन एज इंडियन तमिल्स. एंड उससे पहले जो फोर फादर्स से रहते आ रहे हैं, दे आर अदरवाइज नोन एज श्रीलंकन तमिल्स. सो 13% ऑफ श्रीलंकन तमिल्स एंड 5% ऑफ इंडियन तमिल्स. सो 18% जो हैं उसमें हिंदू एंड मुस्लिम दो कम्युनिटी मिलते हैं. राइट. 74% प्योर दे आर बुद्धिस्ट एंड 7% दे आर क्रिश्चियंस, 1% आर अदर्स. दिस इज एग्जैक्टली द social composition of Sri Lanka. So in the next class I'll be discussing about the why in Sri Lanka the political system in Sri Lanka are other majoritarianisms, and what exactly the problem Sri Lanka is facing with, and what are the gray area or the problem, the issues that India and Sri Lanka used to have. Till then, thank you. God bless you.